Do you ever have dreams where there's just random images, there's not much of a storyline, and you wake up and you just dismiss them because of that? Well, I'm here to tell you that sometimes those random images can lead to really significant insights. And I want to talk about that today by sharing one of my random image dreams. And first of all, Happy New Year. I had this dream on New Year's Eve, and I woke up on the first and had to journal about it. And I'm Dr. Deborah Lukovich. I am a depth psychology coach, and I'm also an author, and I'm the host of Dose of Depth podcast. I wrote two books that you might be interested in. Your Soul is Talking. Are you listening? Where I teach you how to decode your unconscious. And also my new memoir, When Sex Meets God, a Midlife Unraveling. So, and before I share these dreams and show you how I found some meaning in random dream images, please like and share and subscribe. And I want to engage with you. So I'd first ask you if you're willing to share just a dream that you had recently that has some random dream images and you just sort of dismissed it, but maybe you remember it. And by the end of this video, maybe you'll have a way to find some new meaning in them. So I'm going to read the dream that I had on New Year's Eve. And there were three parts to it. The first part, I'm in a swimming pool. I make a comment that I thought the water was deeper than it was, and that I'm glad I didn't hurt my knees getting in because I thought it was deeper. Then there's a man who's in the pool and he's wading toward me and he tells me not to go in a certain area. I'm not sure exactly what I say, but it's clearly a message of fuck off, go away. In the next part of the dream, I'm in a building that feels like a technical college I went to years ago, but I must be graduating or moving on. There's the sense that, oh, yeah, I used to go there and I'm not anymore. And then I think I'm with my daughter in a new apartment, but I'm not sure if it's mine or hers. So, like I said, random images. The last part of the dream is now I might be with my son, and both my children are grown adults. And we're driving, and we get stopped by a cop. She's a woman who is being a jerk. She is abusing her authority. She has us do various things like pick up some yard waste or something. And finally, she lets us go. And I say something like, that wasn't very nice. And those are my dreams. So, it's easy to just dismiss those kinds of dreams without having any meaning, but I know better. So I decided to start journaling about it. And here's how I explored. So step one in exploring a dream would be to pick out certain images and ask yourself, what does this make me think of? And one of them in the first dream where I got into this pool and I thought the water was going to be deeper, which is why, it was lucky that I didn't like fall because it wasn't very deep. And I thought right away that, water is a symbol of the unconscious. And that my thought that I thought it was deeper than it actually was led me to believe that there's a new insight that this dream wants me to gain. And it's not as far down in my unconscious as I think, that it's in the shallow where it's easy to be accessed. And then sort of telling the man who was coming toward me, I thought, well, maybe he's my mind, trying to control the situation. And so it was very affirming for me to say, go away. Like, I got this. Leave me alone. This middle dream, I sort of like, there wasn't really anything that came to the surface right away. But when I moved on to the next dream about the woman police officer, the theme was that, she was abusing her authority. And I have a little bit of an authority complex. In fact, the one and only time I got stopped for accidentally speeding, and I was stopped by a man police officer, I literally cried. I just was like, oh my God, I did something wrong. And I just sobbed. So I have this really interesting relationship with authority. And it's because I'm in touch with oppressive systems. And it just kind of hits me, even though I don't have any personal experiences. I'm sort of in touch with that, with, bigger systems that don't necessarily impact me personally, but I and connect with it emotionally. So anyway, so what was interesting is that she never told us that we did anything wrong. She just was wasting our time and having us like go over there and do that, pick up that trash, pick up that yard waste. And what was noteworthy about it was that I was very calm. And I wasn't fearful. And I also wasn't annoyed or angry. because that would also be a fear response. And I had this emotional neutrality to it. And then when she eventually, said, "You two can go," I looked at her and I said, "That's not very nice." And this reminded me of the psychological meaning of, or how psychologically nonviolent resistance works. And you might not have thought about it this way, that there are certain people, like the woman in my dream, who is a cop who is abusing her authority. What does that mean when she does that? It means that she's weak when she has to bully other people, right? So she expects people to fight back and to resist her. And because I didn't, I actually had more power. And so that was one of the associations that led to. Now, I took both of these things to be very good signs. So the next step, after you sort of ask yourself, what do these dream images make me think about? The next step is to find the metaphor in your life. So, first of all, the dreams felt very affirming. And I journaled about how I was on the first day of the new year feeling more emotionally calm and solid. And this makes sense because I've just ended a very, tumultuous 5 year period. And suddenly something has shifted inside me, and old anxieties have given way to a new sense of calm and confidence. And that led me to wonder about my need, or when I feel compelled to speak up. So now this is where my journaling went. And I was at my sister's and I decided to focus on talking less. And I'm a talker and I always have something to add. And I am very knowledgeable. So I asked myself, what is the hidden agenda of why I speak up, or why I need to add something to the conversation? And as I was thinking about this, my niece said something and she made a very blanket statement. So immediately I was like, well, be careful. Like, anything could be a cult. It was something, kind of benign, but it was a misunderstanding and it was a kind of ignorance on her part that would lead her to make judgments too quickly about something. So I thought, okay, what is one of the motivations of when I speak up is that, what does ignorance lead to? Ignorance leads to intolerance and bigotry, and that leads to oppression and oppressive system. So kind of back to this, like, how to respond to oppressive systems and how I'm very sensitive to them. So then I asked myself, when I feel the need to speak up, is it coming from a place of empowerment, or is it coming from an ego need, a fear based, right? So if I feel like a twinge of fear at the thought of oppressive systems, then I'm coming from a fear based position, not an empowered position. So this seems really weird, but this is how these random images led me to gain some new insights about myself. So then I thought about, okay, I do have an urge to speak, and my gift is language, and my gift is seeing things that other people can't see. But how do I discern when is the right time to do that? And how do I, conserve energy so that I'm doing it related to my purpose? This led me to remember a past life regression active imagination exercise I did probably 10 years ago. And if you've never done this, it's fantastic. You don't have to believe in, actual past lives. This is all about, what does this bring up from your unconscious? So then you can find meaning in it. So once I got to the womb, that was interesting. But before the womb, I imagined myself walking through an ancient wooden door. And I was wearing a flowing Grecian blue gown and had those old ancient sandals on my feet. And I opened the door, and there were people circled around me and they were looking at me. And at the time, I just felt like I don't know what to say, is what I felt. And that was the end of it. And that was 10 years ago. So now I am feeling, I guess, more certain about what to say and when to say it. And, people do look to me to help them discern and to help them see things and see the truth of the situation. And I haven't found, the ultimate meaning of this, but this is what it got me thinking, that I was getting closer to this. And then also, I can form connections with people in general, but especially certain men. And it is in these situations, I am beginning to realize that it is what I don't say and being conserving and being more concise, that there is this sort of mysterious growth that can happen between me and the other person, especially when it comes to a man. Psychologically, depth psychologically, men often don't know that some women that they're attracted to, that is unexpected attraction, it is that woman represents connection with their soul. So if a woman doesn't realize that this is what's going on beneath the surface, she feels all special and thinks it's about her. But someone with more awareness realizes that they represent something. And then, I try to be very responsible with that. Uh, and so I guess in the end, it was affirming for me because I feel like I'm growing in my capacity to hold space and be even more aware than I was before. And what's really interesting is that coincidentally, synchronistically, a lot of YouTube videos have been showing up in my feed that are about the power of silence, and that 2026 is about practicing silence as power, and not power to manipulate people, but the power to allow, growth around you, or to allow, the people around you to gain their own insights. So it's kind of hard to explain, but anyway, I hope that's helpful. I try to share my vulnerable experiences and finding insights in my dreams with you so that you realize how important yours are, and that it is a way, your dream images is a way your unconscious is trying to get you to explore something that you don't know. Remember, even science affirms that up to 90% of you, why you make the decisions you make, why you're in the career you're in, why you're married to the person you're in. It's all influenced by unconscious forces. And so when you can shine a light on what's in the unconscious, you deepen into your experience of living. So I hope that's helpful. And I'd love it now if after this, you might now think I am crazy and I'm an overthinker, or you're like, oh, now that I think back to this random dream image, here are my associations, and here's how I can find the metaphor in my own life, and here's how that's leading me to, to grow, to be pulled forward into the future version of myself. So I'd love for you to share in the comments, and you can ask me questions. I will totally take a stab at providing some ideas for how to explore certain dream images. And then, like I said, please like and share and subscribe, and help me get more people to get this valuable information. And also go to deborahlukovich.com. You can find a lot more free content there and links to my books. And also, I'm one of the dream experts of an app called Dreamigos.com, and you can download the app, and there's a free version and a premium version, and I'm in there several times a week, commenting on people's dreams if they feel like sharing them to the community. So happy 2026, and cheers to whatever goals you have, and to peace and prosperity. And that's it until next time. Bye.